All right, guys, we're going to be looking at determinants of matrices today. And again, I know that's a new term for us, but it's not going to be, again, very difficult. Thank God we've got tools that'll help us. But again, it's just one of those things that we have to understand the rules, when we can find the determinant, and then kind of how to go about it. So let's talk about this first part. It says the determinant of the 2 by 2 matrix, and it kind of defines that for you as like A, B, C, D is AB minus BC. Okay, so that's the actual calculations that you would do. So think about what you're really doing. It's almost like cross multiplying. Okay, you would take A times D like that, and then you would subtract from that B times C. Okay, so what I want you to notice, though, a couple of different things here. The determinant of the 2 by 2 matrix, like this, is this formula. All right, while the determinant of the 3 by 3 matrix. Now, what do you notice right off the bat that it's talking about? Notice that it's saying that you can do a determinant of a 2 by 2 and you can do a determinant of a 3 by 3. So what I want you to understand here is that the only kind of matrix or matrix that you can do a determinant on are square matrices. Notice this is a 2 by 2, this is a 3 by 3, okay? So it has to be a square matrix before you can do the determinant, okay? And then again, this kind of tells you how to do a 2 by 2, but I want you to notice how to do a 3 by 3. So this is a 3 by 3, and notice all of this is what you would have to do in order to do that. Just to give you kind of a feel for what that looks like, okay? You would have to take these three right here and multiply them together. That's A1 times B2 times C3. Then add to that B1 and C2 and A3, this column right over here, this one. Then again, you would have to add to that some more multiplication. You can see right away that this gets crazy when it gets to a 3 by 3, okay? If I had time on the video, I'd love to walk through a problem and just kind of show you really how much detail there is in this, because it does make you to appreciate what your calculator is doing. But again, I am not going to ask you to do a 3 by 3 by hand. Again, this is something that we can do on the calculator. As a matter of fact, you can do a 2 by 2 on the calculator, but it's a lot like adding and subtracting matrices in that you could probably do this faster than you could even put it in the calculator, okay? So one last little note before we look at some examples. It says determinants of matrices are used for many purposes, including the calculation of inverses. So we'll talk a little bit more about inverses tomorrow. This kind of goes into some more detail of that, but for today, we're just going to talk about determinants of matrices. So again, this is the key right here that I want you to focus on, is this little formula right here, okay? So if we look down here at number one, we're going to work through just a couple, maybe one example. It shouldn't really take very long. We might go through two. But again, let's imagine that this is A, and this is B, and this is C, and this is D. Those are each little individual elements in this matrix, right? So we remember from our formula up above, A times D minus B times C. So really all we have to do here is we just have to multiply 3 times 2, okay? So 3 times 2, and then we're going to subtract from that 8 times negative 1, okay? 8 times negative 1. Now let's just think about what that is. So 3 times 2 would be 6, and 6 minus, remember that minus is there, minus a negative 8. So 6 minus a negative 8, what would that equal? 6 minus a negative 8 would equal 14. And so you're not going to get a matrix answer out of this. You're actually going to get a definitive number, okay? Let's try one more just so that you kind of got a feel for what's going on. Let's look at number 3 right beside of it. So again, I'm just going to take these two numbers and multiply them together, which is going to give me 40. 10 times 4 is 40, minus, right, 6 times 1, which is 6. So 40 minus 6 equals 34. You can see how quickly that you can actually do a 2 by 2 determinant here just by doing it by hand. Again, in the time that it took me just to go ahead and do the multiplication and subtraction, it would have I could have did 3 of these before I could have put 1 in the calculator, okay? Here in these instructions, it says find the inverse. Just go ahead and do the determinant. You don't have to do the inverse. We're going to do some of that tomorrow, okay? But now on the back side, you're going to see what I'm talking about. You're going to see, it shows an example of a 3 by 3, and look at all this work. This is all the work that you would have to do in order to try to figure that out, okay? I'm not asking you to try to do that. So let me go ahead and jump over to the calculator real quick, and we'll look at this number 10 right here, and I'll show you how to do this, okay? So it's really quite simple. It's a lot like what we've already been doing. We're going to go ahead and bring up our matrix calculator, and I'm going to go ahead and just say new matrix, and we're going to put in that matrix, which is number 10. I'll show you that again right here. Look at this. This is a 3 by 3, so that tells me I can find the determinant of it, okay? So I'm going to go back over to my calculator, and I'm going to change this to a 3 by 3. And I'm going to go ahead and just put in the numbers that it's asking for. So 11, 7, 4 is my first row. My second row is -2, -8, and 3. My third row is 6, 9, and 2. So now that I've got my matrix in, I'm going to go ahead and just save that, lock it in. And you'll notice if you look down at these little tools that are over here, you will see one that says DET. That stands for determinant. So all I have to do literally once I get this matrix put in is go ahead and hit determinant and then choose matrix A. And notice it gives me an answer of negative 199. So that would be my answer that I would put in on the sheet right here. I would just put in it equals negative 199. Okay, so that's my determinant. And again, you can do that for 2 by 2s, but you can almost do it as quick as what you could do it in the calculator. 3 by 3s, I would definitely use the matrix calculator for that. Okay, don't really need to worry about 19. You don't have to do that one. Just 10 through 18 on this side, and then obviously go ahead and do 1 through 9. We've already did 2 of them for you on the front side. Okay. So that's it on determinants today. If you need any help or any assistance, feel free to get a hold of either me or Miss Willer, and we would be glad to get in touch with you and help you out. Thanks.